Good afternoon, everyone. So, my name is Patrick Drury. I am a man in long term recovery, but I also have to identify that I am an addict and an alcoholic first. And I share that with you. While I celebrate 6 years of recovery last month, I'm only a couple goofy thoughts, a couple days of no action, a couple days of isolation from being back out there on a runner. So, every day I have to remind myself of what I am at my core. When I entered into recovery, I constantly heard the gifts of recovery that would be shared with me. Heard that over and over, and it kind of excited me. And quite honestly, early in recovery, what I thought those were, I thought that would be a nice, fully loaded truck. I thought that would be owning my own business, making six figures immediately, having a gorgeous girlfriend. The truck has turned into an electric vehicle that's very practical when charged. The entrepreneurship has been changed into working in recovery, working in the nonprofit field, and I'm sure the gorgeous girlfriend is still out there seeking me. So, anyways, today being able to share the stage with two individuals I consider leaders in the respective field, Annie and Jeremiah, that's what the gifts of recovery are to me today. Very quickly, I have a short amount of time up here today. I just want to highlight, you'll hear my life. This disease impacts everyone. I don't have a tragic story to share. I didn't have a stepdad that was beating the snot out of me on the daily. I was not impacted by trauma. I had a very privileged childhood. Secondly, I guess I'll share a little bit of the grimy details just to show you the progressive nature of this disease. And then finally, share what works with me and where I get my hope and my purpose from. So again, my childhood, born and raised in Portage, Wisconsin, younger brother, also impacted by this disease. If you could craft what a perfect childhood should look like, I had it. My parents, I never saw my parents drug. I probably saw my mother have 5 glasses of wine growing up. That was the extent of my exposure to it. I attended a parochial school. I played sports. I had all the friends. I had all the things. That carried over into high school. I continued with sports and education. Again, you probably couldn't script what a childhood should look like any better than what I had it. No trauma, anything. And to be honest with you, for a long time, I kind of held on to that. I carried a lot of shame, like something should have happened to me, right? This disease should have been caused by something, looking for a why. As soon as I was able to accept that I'm an addict, it's the disease, there's no reason behind it, it kind of began the surrender process for me. In hindsight, as I look at my childhood, I can tell you a couple pivotal moments or things that stand out. For example, I remember being 5 years old and swigging a can of my grandpa's old style beer. While it tasted horrible, like I remembered how it kind of filled me up, the warmth and the risk involved in it. And then when I was 12, I do remember I was at a great uncle's house playing, he had a resale store, so I was playing slot machines, and I can vividly remember winning a slot machine for $25 at that time, and it lit me up like a Christmas tree. Like the amount of dopamine that I received from that was spot on. So again, in hindsight, I can tell you like some of those tendencies were there. I would tell you I had all the things, but I was never really comfortable in my own skin. I was always seeking more. From a very early on age, my childhood consisted of on Saturday nights, I'd come home at 7 o'clock, we'd watch Cops on TV, followed up immediately by America's Most Wanted. My career path was I was going to be an FBI agent. Never questioned it, I was going to be an FBI agent. So when I graduated from high school, it was almost like a rite of passage for me. So I did not drink or drug in high school, but when I graduated from high school, it was a rite of passage. I'm going to college, I get to drink. And I can tell you the first time I drank, loved the feeling. It was wine coolers. It was in a field north of Portage. And not to be too grotesque, but I remember vomiting that night after getting drunk. And while I was vomiting, I remember just thinking, God, I still love this feeling. I love this feeling. And thinking if I could simultaneously vomit and continue drinking. I remember that thought. And again, it's not to be grotesque, but just to speak to this disease and the power of it. I attended college at UW Whitewater, and the party went on. I drank every night. I got drunk just about every night, but I was able to manage, right? I was able to manage. The disease hadn't fully progressed at that point. Somehow I skated through college. I don't know how it happened. Smoked some weed there. Again, while in college, I still had intentions of being in the FBI. At that time, the FBI would administer a polygraph, and you couldn't smoke pot more than 15 times. I remember by my sophomore year of college, I smoked it way more than 15 times, and that was really the first time in my life that line in the sand had moved for me. I had given up a goal because the disease had controlled me. I graduated college. I did receive an OWI in college. However, FBI's out of the window. I'm like, all right, I will go local law enforcement. So I got into law enforcement about 2006. It was delayed because of my OWI. I would tell you that the party continued during that time frame. Law enforcement has a culture of drinking, or I at least found the people that adhered to that culture. And I love drinking. And again, when I drink to get drunk, excuse me. In 2008, I was playing in an alumni basketball tournament, and I broke my foot and ended up having a couple surgeries, and obviously certainly got on painkillers. And I can tell you, it was a spiritual experience the first time Vicodin entered my body. I would tell you that I can tell you the black Nike Shocks I was wearing, the camo shorts, the white hooded sweatshirt, the Boston Red Sox hat that I was wearing, every insecurity that I ever had was filled that day. I continued to abuse painkillers while I was a police officer. I was very good at manipulating, hiding it from everyone. Eventually, that caught up to me one night. I was in Fond du Lac for some training. I had taken some benzodiazepams and made some suicidal comments. I was 51-15 and lost my career in law enforcement. While that was devastating for me, that is what I tried to do since I was a child. It was also a weight off my shoulders. I'm like, I can seek drugs off the street now. 1 month after getting out of law enforcement, I was doing heroin. I was able to, or I shouldn't say able to manage it. I had lots of funds when I got out of law enforcement, so the stealing and the robbing of people had not begun. 1 year later, I'm shooting IV heroin. I entered treatment for the first time, but I had not surrendered to this disease. I knew my life was shitty. I was having consequences, but I still had money. I still had family in my corner. I still had friends, still able to manipulate. But when I started IV heroin use is when things took a radical turn. The one story I'll share with you to portray the progressive nature of it is in 2015, I was working as a manager of a sporting goods store, and they had assigned me to a store up in Minnesota. I drove up on a Sunday night. The interstate was closed down, and I was shooting heroin the whole way up to Minnesota, driving with my knees. Eventually made it to my hotel. The next morning, my coworker came in. I noticed in her purse that she had benzos. So being a kind guy, I sent her to the store to get her coffee, get us coffee and pay for it. Took a bunch of benzos. I robbed the store blind. That evening, I went out drinking at a local establishment. I stole a purse from a lady at the bar. I bought $3,000 in lottery tickets. I mean, this is craziness, reliving this. And then I proceeded to take the City of Winona Police Department on a high-speed chase. That type of craziness went on for years on years. I found myself in and out of treatment, but again, I had not surrendered. Like, I always wanted to exert my will over this disease. I would take some suggestions. I would take some pills. I would meet with some people. Foot was in and out of the door. Fast forward, because I'm limited on time here. I eventually attend 10 different treatment centers. In 2020, I arrive at Nova here in Oshkosh. I had surrendered. I was sick of the lifestyle. I was finally willing to listen. And when I arrived at Nova, what did and does so well is we have a culture of recovery. There was compassion in every corner of the building, and they finally were able to allow me to see the truth about my disease, and I could no longer manipulate people. And the skill set was given to me. There was men that come in that building. I can vividly remember 2 men that came in that building, and I saw that they're happy, joyous, and free. And I hung on to them and said, "What did you do?" My path to recovery looked like Nova, our Terra Transitional Living, sober living, sponsorship, working the steps, and then service work. Since getting sober, serving other men and women has become my purpose, and that is what fulfills me. For many years, Mark Sanders talked about it. Show me your biggest pain, and I'll show you your purpose. I love that. I sought my purpose for many years. I thought it was law enforcement. Clearly, it wasn't. So when I started off talking about the gifts of sobriety, another gift is a moment like this, the opportunity to share my story with coworkers, friends, family that have supported me throughout the years. The Oshkosh community being willing to suit up and show up for people who attempted to enter treatment 1, 2, 3. If someone wasn't there for me the 10th time I entered residential treatment, best case scenarios, I'm in prison today. And I don't think I would have made it that far. So I'm over my time here. Thank you for showing up for me. Thank you to the Oshkosh community.